Hi there. They call me the governor, and welcome to this panel where I have some great reactors to talk about Fear the Walking Dead. This one was called Breathe With Me, and I figured what we would do is everyone just breathe really loudly for the entire hour. No? No? All right, we'll sigh a lot. Okay. But yeah, we'll actually talk about this episode. There's lots of neat things and a tragic thing that happened in this episode. But let's go round the rosy and introduce ourselves. Let's start with Jarrell. Introduce yourself. Tell them who you are.
What's going on, guys? Jarrell here. Been a YouTube reactor for almost about 5 years now. Our channel, we love doing Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead. We started out doing comic books. We kind of got a little ways from that just because from the whole pandemic, comics kind of slowed down a bit. But always love the Walking Dead universe. We've been in it from the beginning. We'll be in it to the end and for as long as it can go. And just absolutely love it. And love talking with other creators and reactors. And it's a good community.
Awesome. And I already mispronounced your name again because I'm an idiot.
All right.
But, I did lose an I, so it throws off my pronunciation. Tomaj?
What's going on, y'all? You can catch me at Big Bro and Little Sis Reacts, where I do reactions with my little sister. We react to a bunch of DC shows, and I react to the Walking Dead universe. She's not so much into it, but we do tons of other things, so you can catch us over there.
Awesome. Jazz?
Hi, I'm Jazz. Big fan of The Walking Dead. Love the community, and I'm super stoked to talk about this episode.
All right, cool. And as you can see, I am the governor. Michonne owes me a penny and an eye. And yeah, we're going to talk about this episode. I'm on Fandom Spotlite, but if you're on YouTube, which most of you are, you know that. So we're going to go from there. We already have some people in the panel. I'm sorry, in the chat talking. We got some woohoo Tomaj. We have some hey Jarrell, enjoy your content. We got Deborah jumping ahead with poor Rufus. And yeah, so we got Deborah in there saying hi. JJ says now there is a lineup may even rival Negan's. Y'all awesome people. So pat yourselves on the back there.
Thank you for saying that.
And I've just been told to leave Michonne alone. She killed my daughter right in front of me. Took my eye, I still have issues. All right. So this was quite the episode. We see Sarah wake up, and they did this deliberately, apparently. Didn't know where she was. Last we saw her was on the helicopter with Al's lover, but not that she knew that. And, being flown away from the crash set, from the impacts of the warheads. So what were your thoughts about Sarah and this whole situation? What were your initial thoughts? Jarrell, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so it was really interesting. It was kind of confusing at first to see her waking up kind of in a nice little bed, didn't know where she was. And so during the reaction, it was kind of like, okay, did they not land safely? And then during the course of her walking through this house, wherever she was, I kind of came up to the conclusion that maybe something happened. She had a scar on her head. Maybe the helicopter crashed somehow and she's the only one that got knocked out. Maybe there's others who got knocked out. But once everyone came down and was so excited seeing her that she's awake, it was only Sarah was the only one that had a problem. So, but it was interesting the way they did it.
Absolutely. And apparently they wanted it to have that mystery and things being revealed. Mm-hmm. Maj, what were your thoughts? Start of this episode?
Well, at first I'm like, does she have amnesia? She don't know where she's at. She's walking through this mysterious house. But then, much like you said, I was great. I was happy that everybody was there and, she was safe. And then they were like describing like what had happened and that the helicopter went down and they had to fight through the walkers. I'm like, dang, that would have been actually really interesting to see. I would have loved to see like the battle, after the crash and trying to get to safety. But I know I was pretty happy that she was safe and everybody was there.
They probably didn't have the budget for it. Jazz?
I mean, I was gonna make the same point. Like, I would have loved to have seen like the whole crash and how they would have made it out of that. But that's just me and apparently Tomaj. I thought, like, again, the cinematography at the beginning was really beautiful. Like the haze of the aftermath was just chef kiss. And yeah, I mean, I still have those like season 4 Walking Dead, the original series feelings about it, where it's like, we're going to have to like do this whole, at least half a season, where everybody's going to have to get back together. But yeah, I mean, it was really nice having a happy reunion at first. I'll leave it at that before we get too ahead of ourselves in this chat.
Well, Jarrell apparently lost connection, but I'm hoping he'll be back very shortly. And yeah, I was wondering what had happened. I mean, it didn't seem, she seemed too confused. So yeah, as you were saying, it had to be some kind of crash, something going on. And yeah, seeing Althea was great. It was interesting to see how Daniel is still, and I guess that wouldn't be fixed. Okay, I thought we lost you for a minute there.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, are we being abandoned?
Someone tried to call me. I thought I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I guess not.
All right. So, yeah, it is interesting seeing Daniel's. Obviously, he's not going to necessarily recover from the issues that he's having. But, he's still having those issues. People are still not exactly trusting him. And I can't blame him. He might have been the one who, as someone just said, Freddie said Daniel forgot to shut the door or the gate outside. So we had that biter come in.
Well, they're only there thanks to Daniel. So they got to give him some props. He did get the coordinates right. So
yes, absolutely. And
give the guy some credit, yeah.
And seeing Althea again, was very nice. So, yeah, I'm hoping Jarrell returns. That would be very nice. I hope Krypton didn't blow up. Because that would really stink. Yeah, someone just said, Portrait of a Lady said, I haven't seen the other cast members in so long, forgot they existed. I mean, I have to say, this format, we're in episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through the first part of this season, and, halfway to the mid-season finale, and we're just seeing Althea. We haven't even seen Dwight and Sherry.
That's coming next week. I saw the preview. They're coming back. They're coming next week. So
right.
We'll see that.
They'll be next week, but it's like it takes 5 episodes to catch up with everybody. It just seemed there could have been. I mean, they have a lot of characters, so obviously they need to split it up. But I do think they could have done a little bit more A/B type stuff, like, there he is.
Yay! Welcome back.
Yeah, we were.
Sorry about that.
No, we just thought Krypton blew up or something. And,
yeah, my internet dropped. Sorry about that.
No worries. It happens to all of us. But yeah, we're just saying. I was just saying that. Yeah, it's like the 4th episode, and we're finally seeing. Most of the people. We won't see Sherry and Dwight till next week. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's taken a long time. I mean, Morgan and Strand have been pretty much in just about all the episodes. But,
yeah, I get it. They're like doing the bottle episode thing like the main series does. But I liked how they did it last season where they focused on one character, one or two characters, but they didn't alienate everybody else. Like they were still in the episode, their presence was still felt. I thought they did it really well last season. So hopefully maybe in the back half we kind of get back to that, because it's the same thing with The Walking Dead. Like you have your favorite character, and then when you have to go like 6 episodes without seeing them, it's not as fun, like especially because some people, like there's a lot of Alicia fans that only watch the show for her. Like I see them tweet a lot or comment like, where's Alicia and all this stuff. I'm like, I feel for them. Like, you only get your character one time, and then the whole first half of the season, and like
Well, in the regular show, Connie had a good excuse because she had to go become an Eternal. So
Yeah.
She was fabulous in that, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Marvel calls, you're going to be like, well, I got The Walking Dead to do.
You gotta go. You gotta go do the thing. Yep.
It's like you make arrangements to take a little leave of absence. So maybe, Connie's going to thank Carol for the opportunity to go and do another show.
There you go.
That'd be a scene. So yeah, as we move on, obviously Sarah and Wendell, super tight, super close. We learned even more about this episode. So she is not giving up no matter what on finding Wendell. And then we get to meet Josiah. Now, what were your thoughts on what were your initial thoughts with Josiah and his deal with Sarah? Jazz, why don't you start us off?
I mean, at first I was like, oh, okay, so we have to sit through this whole thing. I mean, I get it, because I mean, if you were expecting one thing to be in the box and it was somebody you're related to, that's a little. I would be after blood too. I think I would want somebody to get set for that. But I love the fact that she just kept it about her brother, Wendell. Like, no, we got to go find him. And I'm sure she was not intending to keep her promise, but then we'll deal with your part of the deal here. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really brilliant on her part, to keep it all about her brother.
Right. Plus, she agreed to have Morgan show up. She didn't agree to like help kill Morgan. So it's like,
right.
But she also didn't give away the court. Exactly. I mean, yeah, he had hints of it, but I mean, it wasn't exact.
Tomaj, your thoughts about the whole Josiah's deal?
Well, I'm like, okay, well, she got about 24 hours. I'm like, she can come up with some way to stop him before then. When he has his guard down or whatever, she can, I don't know, steal a gun or a knife or stab him, do something crazy. I'm like, but, she was really focused on, finding her brother. And then, he was, all for helping her. And I'm like, I kind of understood where he come from, because like you said, I'd be upset if I found my sibling's head in the box. I'm like, Morgan's out here giving everybody chances, telling everybody all life is precious.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
it comes to my sibling. Now they're gift wrapped in a box. And like, I got to find them that way. Yeah, I'm coming for blood.
Jarrell?
I mean, I love the whole Josiah storyline. I love that actor. I'm glad that they brought him back, because with Emil, it was very quick ending for him. So to bring him back to play a twin brother aspect, I thought that was really cool. The dynamic of it was really cool. You can kind of see how they were both fairly different, but he was more in the beginning on wanting to get revenge for his brother being killed. And then the whole dynamic between Josiah and Sarah was really cool, because as we got more information from Sarah about, talking about her brother, it was kind of resonating back with Josiah about his own brother, and them talking together, they were able to really come to an understanding together. And I did think at first maybe Sarah would try to kill him. She also tried to run him off the road. They both should have probably died in that truck. They both weren't wearing seatbelts.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
right through the
windshield.
airbag
didn't go off.
The airbags didn't go off. So she had some chances, but I think in the end, she knew that she needed him to help find Wendell. and then she can figure out the whole Morgan piece after that, or maybe she can call Morgan in, and then Morgan can finish him off, and then they'll go on their way. Because her number one goal was to find Wendell. This guy is just off to the side just to help out for a minute, and then I'll move on eventually. So
I did find it interesting. She got in the car, she started it. Why didn't she pull out right away? It was like, did I not notice something? It's like she's sitting there. Was she debating with herself, and then she saw him coming?
Probably.
And was like, all right, now I'm going to go.
That would be my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in a moment of grief. She had probably so many emotions going through her head, she didn't know what she wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But yeah, they totally should have died in that car accident. No seat belts. You know, they went.
That would have been a really short episode, though. Then.
I mean, at least they should have been like, you know, bloody, because they didn't really have much injuries at all from the crash, which made no sense. Yeah. But yeah, and I actually want. Well, here's my conundrum. All right, say you have a relative, and their job is to go hunt down and kill people. They're a friggin' assassin, all right? And then someone that they're trying to assassinate kills them. I mean, wouldn't you be like, well, I'm not happy that my sibling's dead, but they're kind of asking for it. You know, it's like, can you really blame someone for defending themselves against, you know, even if it is my brother, it's like, you know, he was doing he was trying to kill somebody. They didn't want to die. They fought back. They happen to win this time. You know, can you really long term? I can understand immediately being like, I want to kill that son of a bitch. Or, you know, bitch. I don't want to be sexist here. But, you know, I can understand that initial reaction, but when you think about it, it's like, you know, he went looking for trouble. Emil went looking for trouble. He found it.
And he found it. Yep.
You know, if you're going after people and hunting them down and killing them, you know, or even capturing them, you know, dead or alive, you're being a bounty hunter like that. You know, it is conceivable that you're going to run up against someone who's better than you. And that's what happened to Emil. So,
yeah.
Or someone who had, you know, backup. So, I mean, I can see the initial anger, but do you think it was justified? I mean, I don't think it was justified for him going after Morgan for just, you know, defending himself. I don't know. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, we did see him kind of lose interest in the idea of murdering Morgan later on in the episode. He made his peace with it. Sadly, it took a very unfortunate event that I'm sure we'll be getting to very shortly that I don't want to jump to yet. But I mean, when you're having those emotions, like I know that I would be seeing red the moment I see my twin brother's head, like right here in zombie form. And I would probably want to go after the son of a bitch or bitch that did that too. But eventually, I think going through the emotions, I would probably be able to let that go because it is a very different world that they're living in right now.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think initially, again, I'd be seeing red too. And I'm like, you had the audacity to leave your name on the box with my sibling's head in it. I'm like, okay, I got to go see who this person is. Like, I would want to hear the reasoning why. I mean, even if I did know they were bounty hunter, but I'm like, you put their head in the box though, and then left your name on it. I'm like, I got some questions.
Well, it wasn't. We know why he left the name on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. His stuff. Bebe Rose is in the chat. She said it's almost like no matter right or wrong, even if she asks for it, that's your sibling. Especially if you two are very close, you know. Which I can understand, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't like my siblings that much. And if you read the Rise of the Governor, then you know, yeah, me and my brother. Yeah, hell with him. Yeah, Grimes Girl 26, Emil messed around and found out that Morgan don't die.
He does not.
He does not.
Yeah, Cleo Griffith agrees. Yeah, what the hell did Josiah think? Or his brother was hurting and killing people and came across the wrong one. So, yeah, it is a tough situation, but I mean, he was able to get past it after he realized that the path of vengeance, unless you happen to be the governor and it's Michonne, is just not the way to go.
It's deadly.
Revenge is not actually a healthy thing. And even I could have killed Michonne when I captured her and, way back when with Herschel. But I didn't. I realized, I still grumble about it. Killed my daughter. But, yeah, it is, it's a tough situation. And then, of course, to lose the best character on the goddamn show. Rufus.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
A warrior is coming to Silvercore. Yeah, I did not realize. I mean, I realized that biters, when they bite a human, they're not infecting them with, like, the virus. They're infect necessarily, or maybe it's just adding to the virus, but I was never quite clear, because we're all infected. You could, die from a infection that you got from an ingrown toenail, and you're going to turn into a biter. But if you get bit by a biter, you get turned into a biter. I wasn't sure how that was going to work with dogs, They couldn't do something to help. If he got bit on the paw, they could have cut the poor pup's, leg off. Plenty of three-legged dogs around. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works for animals, but I know a while back they said that it was just strictly a human disease, so that's why we don't see any like zombie animals. But yeah, I guess they still die though. I don't know, because most, like, anytime like a horse or anything got bit, they always had to put it down. So
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, I'm with you on like the cutting off the poor dog's paw if that's where they got bit or whatever.
I was just getting very emotional, I can tell.
I know, like, I'm just... I know, it's a very different feeling in here now. And I was just laughing a minute ago. But yeah, like, anytime, like, an animal is suffering, it's just really hard. I mean, you always have to make that choice to put them down. And from my understanding, we didn't actually see the dog die, but I mean, it was implied that he took a gunshot to the head or whatever, because I mean, that's what I guess you have to do in these situations where you can't, like, take it to a vet to get put down. And I mean, would it have turned into a biter? We don't know.
I think if animals were going to turn into biters, we'd have seen it by now, because I'm sure
it was definitely suffering though, so I think it was probably the humane thing to do at that point.
I think probably the inside of a biter's mouth is probably so, filled with just filth and germs and just horrible, toxins plus the virus, that anything that got bit by a biter would, definitely get an infection and suffer from that.
Yeah, I think, kind of going back to your point, is, we all have the virus, and when you're bit, you're not really going to get the virus, you already have it. But I think it's just basically speeding up the process. And of course, if you bite an arm, yes, it can help to, you want to cut it off, because then you can kind of stop the infection there. And maybe it can help slow down the process to where you won't turn as fast, but you're eventually still, either you could still turn, or in the case of like Herschel, where you just don't turn. But I'm kind of glad they haven't brought animals into the aspect, because I think it would be even crazier, kind of going off of like Resident Evil and the video game Days Gone, where you're just getting chased by bears and birds that are turned. I think that would be insane. But yeah, it is still interesting though. Like, animals, unfortunately, they get bit, they just die, they don't turn. So in this world of a zombie apocalypse, I think it works best if the animals are not gonna change at all.
I
So
was gonna say it's probably even scarier if animals could turn too. So, apart from having former humans coming after you, you would have like former animals like lions and bears and stuff coming after you too. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
Having them
Friggin'
in
cats.
their original form is scary enough. I don't need no zombie lions or tigers or bears. Oh my,
Birds would be the worst. Birds and squirrels and rabbits.
Plus, it would get rid of a big food source for everybody too. So
yeah, that's true for sure.
But yeah, I think we can be pretty confident that they don't turn, because I'm sure some deer's gotten bitten on the ass by a beta and it ran away, and it probably just ended up dying from the infection. And we've also seen that Jarrell did not consider it safe if a bita bites into an animal that even freshly killed to touch that animal at all and consume it. So I think that wasn't it actually in fear that they said people aren't dying from the virus or dying from the infection. Basically the bite. It might have been the main show, but somebody said something like, you basically, when you get bit, you get very sick very quickly, and that's what causes it. It's not the virus because you already have it.
Was that Dr. Jenner in the finale of season 1? Maybe.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it sounds really familiar.
Yeah. I think because he was explaining the whole process to the group.
Yeah.
I thought that someone said it also in the in Fear, but I could be totally wrong because a lot of people are saying Rufus deserved better though. That he didn't have to die. And I also am told by Renee that my hair looks nice. So thank you, Renee. I did get it cut. Wasn't by your suggestion. I was planning on getting it cut anyway. But yeah, I think realizing and losing somebody like that. But I have to say, this raises a very important question. Where the hell is Skidmark?
Yeah. Where is he?
Yes, Strand gave him.
We'll probably get to that in a few episodes.
He'll be like the last one we're looking for.
Strand gave Skidmark back to Daniel in episode 10 of season 6, and then I don't know. Did Skidmark leave with Daniel when he went with Strand? I don't remember.
Look like it. I don't recall him having a cat carrier or anything.
So he just left it at the dam, and
Daniel didn't have it when he went. Daniel didn't have it when they escaped with Al.
Right.
Well,
I don't know.
I guess Skidmark's just out there in the world. I don't know.
I hope Skidmark's okay. I hope they're one day reunited. I hope it wasn't like Daniel just forgot Skidmark was back, because he does have the memory issues and the problems. So I hope someone took care of Skidmark while he was away. And Renee says, were animals harmed in the making of the show? They're not going to really hurt an animal. Rufus didn't even whine. They probably played that from a sound effect. ADR's much easier with dogs. Trust me. But, yeah. Portugal, he said, I forgot Skidmark existed too. Yeah. But Skidmark, for those who don't know, Renee says she's lost is a cat that Virginia took away from Daniel. He was great at luring bitas away so then Daniel could take care of him or whatever. He was a good cat. I'm a cat guy and a dog guy, but so thoughts about, will we see Josiah again? Will he come back? Do you think there's a good chance that we will see him? Because it was just one episode.
I hope so.
We better see him again. I mean, I he seems like an interesting enough character. I think he could bring a lot to the group, and I think it'd be kind of pointless just to bring him on for one episode just because. So hopefully we'll get more of him in the coming episodes.
I agree. We brought him all the way back again, so we gotta utilize him. And he's a pretty strong actor. I enjoyed watching his character, so I really do hope we see him again. He'll probably come in a pivotal moment. What that'll be, I have no idea.
Yeah, I wanted him to join the group right then and there. And when he said that he wanted to leave and take off, I was like, no, like stay, like help, learn more from Morgan, get to know each other a little bit better. Stay with Sarah because you were a very huge piece to her and she was a huge piece to you. And I really wanted him to stay. And when he left, it's kind of like, okay, you better bring him back. If he's not back at the end of this first half, definitely bring him in the second half, but you can't just let another character go into the wind and never speak on it again because they've done that way too many times.
Yep.
Well, Heath, but no, I think that I think they will bring him back because they liked the actor so much. That's why they did bring him back this time around. And they were actually talking about it. If you watch the after discussion, and they were saying that they wanted to bring him back and to be able to bring back his twin brother was a great thing. So they will. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he will show up at a pivotal moment. Maybe with the final battle between Morgan and Strand, and yeah. So
still can't get over he's like the main villain right now. Like,
right.
But is he a villain? He's an antagonist. If it's
gotten to that point yet. Yeah, I don't think it's gotten to the point of villain status yet.
I mean, he could have had Morgan killed right then and there if he wanted to be,
Yeah.
He could have killed all of them right then and there if he wants to show Morgan that his way is better. But he's not full villain. At least if he's a villain, he's a very stupid one to leave his enemies still alive. So
he pretty much said that he just kind of wants to show off and prove people wrong. He really wants to prove to Morgan and Alicia that he can be this leader. He can build something better than either of them could. So he really is going to keep them alive until they see, him get to his final destination. But something is going to set Morgan off to where he comes to Strand, and that's the part I'm waiting for. Like, I want to see what Strand's going to do that's so bad that, Morgan's going to be like, all right, I'm coming for you now. Because he's building, Strand's smart. He's building his army around his base. He has his walkers. So it's like he has something planned. I just don't know what.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that it's interesting that he holds grudges. Like Sarah was not on his side enough in the past for him to consider letting her in. So it's like, I mean, at what point were they picking sides against Strand? When? I mean, I don't.
Maybe just certain decisions. Maybe certain decisions that Strand was doing. I can't even remember really if Sarah and Strand had a lot of time and interaction together from when they've met. Maybe a little bit, but there really wasn't like, hey, pick sides. Everything that went down from what happened in the sub and what Strand tried to do to Morgan, which we know that Morgan doesn't die. But
which still bugs me.
Yeah,
how did he just get out of that unscathed?
It's Morgan.
Someone in the comments on one of my videos said that I guess there was a moment between them when Virginia had the lineup, and I think Strand had said something about not escalating the situation, and Sarah was like, "I'll escalate my foot up your ass," and then they kind of, I guess maybe that moment.
But when you think about it, Strand was apparently at that moment an agent of, Virginia. So I think that could be forgiven. If he's that petty, I thought it was smarter than that. But yeah, that's an interesting situation. And Wendell is actually inside Strand's, Fortress of Solitude.
Is he?
Fortress of Strawberries.
Is he?
I'm hoping he's not lying about that. I said that in my video. I'm like, I really hope he wouldn't lie about something like that. I mean, I don't know what he would get from it, but more other than just maybe leverage. But I don't know.
Yeah, we might do a video on it, but I was kind of thinking it's very strategic for Strand to do that. So as you know, that Strand didn't want Sarah and him to see each other, but by telling Sarah that he's in there, he kind of holds, he's playing off of her emotions right now because she's very adamant of wanting to see him. So he's being petty that she didn't choose his side. So he can play that to his strategy a little bit, kind of say, yeah, he's in there. He's thriving. He's being the best man he can be. But if you want him to come out and die with you, I'll send him out with you. And then you guys can go on your way. And because Morgan's standing right there, he has to build himself up to make Morgan believe that he's doing the right thing in this building. He's keeping people safe, that Morgan knows. So I'm not 100% convinced yet. If Wendell is in there, great. But if he's not, that goes to kind of Strand's mentality of wanting to prove all these people wrong, but using it against them to try to just break them apart somehow. I'm not sure how yet, but yeah, I'm still not convinced he's in there right now. Right now, I'm going to say he's not. I think Strand lied just to try to get Sarah to come with him, to come inside, and then now she can stay here. Morgan, go on your way.
Well, but then again, no, he did not allow Sarah. He's like, you are not allowed in.
That's true. Yeah, he wasn't going to let anybody in. That's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, he made the offer to say, look, you can have your brother, but, this is not a revolving door. He comes out, he's out. He
right.
makes that decision. So, I mean, it's possible that he is lying, because it is Strand. But, I happen to think that I believe, because if he's not dead, he had to be rescued by somebody. Because he doesn't have his chair, he doesn't have his goddamn hat, for God's sakes. So someone had to help him, and who's been sending out people? I think it's likely that Strand does have him. I don't know why we're not seeing this actor at all. Maybe he's got other projects that he's working on. Maybe
I heard that he's doing NCIS New Orleans.
Oh, well, yeah, that'll keep you busy.
Yeah, so.
So it's interesting how the story has to actually accommodate, other gigs for the actors, but.
I don't know. Maybe those. What's that other group? Of course, they're not. I thought of the Reapers, but of course, they're not the Reapers. I can't remember what's the group called.
You called them the Stalkers, was it?
The Stalkers, yeah. So, I don't know if the Stalkers would have had him or not, because they're kind of. I wouldn't say they're a brutal group. They just like taking clothes off of dead walkers, but I don't know. You could be right. Maybe another group picked him up, or he could be in Strand's wonderful community. I don't know yet.
Yeah, it was just odd that he never brought it up to Morgan, like, oh, Wendell's here too. Because he tell Morgan that he had June and John, but why wouldn't you mention Wendell too? Like, oh, I got a third person too. Like, you just only brought it up when it was convenient that Sarah was right there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Until I see it, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Though I do think that maybe he mentioned John and June because Morgan was out there trying to help them, and he's like, I've already helped them.
Right.
So that's why he only mentioned them. But he's not going to, like, show all his cards. So if he finds out that Morgan is looking for Wendell, he can, just not say a word and have Morgan waste his time. So the fact that they showed up, I think he had a little bit of mercy on Sarah, despite her not being on his side, to just let her know that he was there. So I have a tendency to think that he is inside, and the reason we're not seeing him because, NCIS. But, and that happens a lot. And Baby Rose says, agree with Tomaj. I hope that Strand is in line, because what if Sarah found Wendell as a biter? Well, she said Walker, but
That'll be heartbreaking. I'm not convinced that the body that was found in that chair was Wendell. I'm not sure who that is, but I have hope that we'll see Wendell down the road.
I mean, when you think about it, you know, we saw Rachel in the last episode of last season kill herself so she'd become a biter so that she would have more endurance. She wouldn't feel pain and all that. But I don't know with Wendell not being able to walk. You know, obviously he wouldn't necessarily be a walker, you know, if he died. So he would probably be more like the bicycle chick from episode 1.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we joked about that in our reaction. Like, if Wendell did get bit and turn, would the infection allow him to stand up and start walking? It's like, no, probably
That
not.
would be interesting to see, actually.
Yeah. So
it's like, yeah, it's a miracle cure for, you know, but I think he was like, did they explain? I might have missed. How did Wendell get in the wheelchair? Was it an accident? Was it, you know, his spine was severed, or?
I don't think they mentioned it. I know Sarah had said that he hadn't walked in over 40 years, so maybe he was born that way. Or
Well, she
maybe
mentioned that she was premature, so I mean, it could have been something to do with the birth too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, Gladys Neal says Strand has him. And Grimes Girl 26 says it's a good cover for the actor's absence from the show, and we'll see him later when he's done with NCIS, kind of like Connie with the Eternals. Darth Xenon 03, are we too far into fear for Madison to return, or can't she return at any time?
anytime.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a matter of time. If Madison's going to return at some point, you know, I don't know that that's going to happen. But if it can happen, you know, in season 12, if they want to, you know, she could have been, you know, wandering elsewhere. So it's not a big deal. So we have Strand's group, we have Morgan, and I was actually like, Howard was like, yeah, I saw, you know, he's struggling. And, you know, obviously Morgan's not going to be like, well, you were wrong because as soon as you left, we found all this food. You know, he's not going to reveal that. But, and I don't think he even wanted to reveal it when he was at, you know, Strand's little platform there, because they could have ways of listening to conversations. So he didn't want them to return in force to the Pennsylvania to steal food. So, but yeah, it's, but now we have this other group who is stripping biters, and, you know, I don't know why they're doing it, what they're exactly doing. Any thoughts about this group? And they're putting, you know, biters into corrals.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with Padre, and then maybe they're launching maybe some sort of war against Padre, because they took the warhead at the end, right? Was that it?
Yeah.
This episode, yeah, they took the warhead.
Yeah.
So maybe they're trying to launch some sort of war against this Padre group, whatever that is. Since everybody's looking for it, everybody seems to know about it. Maybe they know something about it we don't, and maybe they're trying to attack them, or because something happened to where Alicia just up and left her spot, and her whole group is gone. They didn't look forcibly removed, so maybe Alicia joined forces with Padre, and there's like some sort of war we don't know about. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's kind of confusing right now because of the groups. I don't know if the group that the guy and the group that we saw in last episode that took the warhead, if they are, you know, the stalkers, or if they're a separate group that kind of, you know, they're wearing all the outfits to protect themselves. And then the other group that we've already know as the stalkers, if they're separate, the same, not really sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's just because the group that we saw, that kid, they're corralling up all these walkers. It did seem like they were taking some of their valuables, so that kind of goes with the whole stalker mentality. Why? Resources, I guess, but why would you be stealing all the resources for who, though? You know, for other people to have pants, jackets, shoes. I mean, what are you going to do with gold watches and things? You can use them as leverage. You can't really have a type of currency anymore right now, but you can trade for food. Here's a watch. I don't know what you'd use it for. I think Padre, once we get into, I think the next episode or an episode coming up with Dwight and Sherry, kind of seems like they run into these stalkers. And I know episode 8 is titled Padre. I think we'll learn a lot more with what this group is really doing, what Padre is, and then hopefully see Alicia, because I think she does return in episode 8, according to the synopsis. So
yeah, so only 8 episodes to get the whole band back together.
Yeah.
Halfway through.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be at this Padre place. It's kind of like Terminus. All roads lead to Terminus. At this point, all roads are going to lead to Padre somehow. But at least, Morgan will be able to get to Al and Luciana and all of them. He knows where they all are. So he technically has the numbers now over Strand, in terms of who has who on each side. So, but my other thing was, like, none of them went out to help Sarah. Like, they just left her to go out and search for Wendell alone. I'm like, all of y'all, what are y'all doing? There's nothing for y'all to do.
I'm so happy to see you. Okay, bye.
She must have snuck out or something. I don't know. She must have snuck out, I think. Kind of sounded like
I think she said days. Like 78 days or something like that she was searching for. So maybe they initially went out to help her and said, look, we've already done a lot of this searching that you've been doing. So I don't necessarily want to, if you want to continue on, by all means, and keep in touch. But, I mean...
That messes with the timeline a little bit, because according to, I know when Strand met, what was his name, Will? He was out 50 days or so. So I don't know if 78 days that Sarah mentioned was the total time frame from the blast to now, or was she really out another 78 days by herself? So that, it's I'm kind of thinking timeline now where we're at. So
I hope they have a chart.
I guess if the helicopter went down, that would be almost like the same day as the blast. And she was out for 2 days. And then I guess the rest of the time she was just searching. So I guess, because that way she would have to catch up to to meet Morgan and then have Josiah and all them. She'd have to catch up to where they are. And I think when June was in the bunker, they were writing the days on the chalkboard. So there was like 60 something days there. So I think they're trying to like fill in the gap as to what everybody was doing.
I've given up on trying to figure out where we are in the timeline, because it's too much.
Well, yeah, John and June were like around day 69 because May turned to me and was like, ooh. And, because real mature.
It's kind of like Westworld trying to figure out what timeline you're in.
Yeah.
I only been keeping track of time because I'm waiting for them to catch up to like the other Walking Dead shows. So I'm like trying to see how much time has passed, how close they are.
That's what I've been doing too. But like I said, I just kind of given up. So I'm like, there's no way. There's like this number. Yeah, forget it.
I'm doing it for the CRM stuff. Like I want to know where everything lines up when the CRM shows back up. I want to see like how early it was, what they were doing, how it ties into like what's happening on World Beyond and stuff. I'm like into that storyline. So. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be curious when Jarrell and Carol decide to go on their walkabout. Are they going to be going, west and right into some still ravaged wilderness, even if it's like 6 years later after the bombs fell? It's still going to be, radioactivity is going to linger. They could be riding into some crazy shit. Unless they decide they want to go to Canada, see if there's still universal health care, whatever reason they might go north instead. But
I was kind of thinking they'd go to, I remember Carol mentioned wanting to go to New Mexico.
Yeah.
So was kind of thinking maybe depending on, like we had a theory that maybe Daryl would go searching for Leah. And that's why they're going off on this spinoff. Like maybe she survives somehow, leaves the Reapers, then she leaves and he wants to go search for her. Now, why Carol would go with him, I have no idea, but New Mexico is kind of the only place I can think of right now that they could go to, but what's down there? I don't know.
My theory is that Daryl will get the message that Michonne went looking for Rick. He's gonna want to tag along. Carol, I think they'll eventually move to the Commonwealth, but Carol's not a big community person. She's, lone wolf. So I think she'll go with Daryl and they'll go off and do their whole Rick search. That's my theory. Since it's on the road show, like what would they be doing? I'm like, it has to be search for Rick,
Well, that will just extend the missing Rick for even longer because he's already gone 8 years. So if they're going to go look for him more, it's like, oh, more?
I know.
Bring him back season 11. He's back. And then the Rick movies can tie in the gaps. But yeah, that'd be interesting, though.
Yeah, Grimes Girl 26 says, I don't think it's such a great idea to have an open warhead line around you and your people. So I think if this group that took the open warhead keeps it around, they may be out of the fight just very shortly. Major hair loss, diarrhea. How are you going to fight that way? Without your hair. Oh, never mind.
Well, maybe they'll use it on the walkers. I don't know, like, how much of a crazy effect it'll have on them. But, like, maybe that's why I was thinking, like, if they hoarded all those walkers, use the open warhead maybe to make them radiate. So then once they go to, like, launch these walkers towards Padre and they go to kill these things, it could potentially get them sick or infected using, I don't know, maybe some strategic thing. I don't know. I don't know if they could
really interesting, though, to see, like, that warhead being their downfall, even though they were intending to use it for something. That'd be like good payback almost, I think.
I don't think that kid was that bright who took him to the corral there, so I don't think he was thinking ahead. I think he was like, ooh, a warhead. We can maybe, roll it down a hill towards Padre and, try to make it go off. And yeah, that'll help.
Or, ride it down the hill like on a sled or something. That'd be smart too.
He lifted that whole thing up by himself. It wasn't heavy or nothing. I'm like, okay.
Oh no, they don't. They only weigh like 20 pounds. Yeah.
Oh really?
No, I have no idea.
I was gonna say. I was like, how come you know so much about warheads there, man?
I don't know. Yeah. I just go around digging in the dirt looking for any ones that have been left over from previous wars.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many nuclear ones around.
No.
I'd hope.
No.
Yeah, so, looking in the chat here, we got Portrait of a Lady saying, I'll cry if they bring Madison back. Darth Zenon is saying, what the fuck is Padre? Renee's saying, I just had to say for the 15th time, we're not this many. I'm watching The Walking Dead, haven't gotten to your story, Governor. So she's early on. So, yeah. But by the time she gets to this season of Fear the Walking Dead, she probably won't remember anything we talked about. So that's all. It's all good. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next week to see what Dwight and Sherry have been up to. But I have to say, most of them don't have very good protective equipment. So, I'm surprised more of them aren't, like, dying. I think they're like, on the one hand, they're stressing how dangerous the radiation is. And on the other hand, the writers are like, yeah, but, we got plot armor or, lead shielding for our characters so they're not dying. So
yeah, they had, some radiation pills this episode that I guess prevent them from getting sick. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there's treatments. Apparently,
came from CRM.
It came from
one of the drop sites.
Yeah, so, and it's interesting. I haven't been watching The World Beyond. Did they mention anything about a nuclear event happening anywhere in the country?
I wouldn't know. I don't watch it either.
I mean, I could say, but it could be spoiler territory, so I probably shouldn't.
Well, is there reference to a nuclear event? That's what I'm asking.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
That's all I'll say.
That's fine.
Well, at least they mention it. That's good.
Jarrell is either frozen in the Fortress of Solitude or Yeah, he's having internet problems. Seems to be frozen.
That Krypton connection, I don't know. So far away.
Well, hopefully he'll be back to shamelessly plug. There he is.
There he is.
Much
Ooh.
faster.
Man, I'm taking this modem in tomorrow and getting it replaced. This is not cool.
Yeah, you were a little
Sorry about
frozen.
that.
So I use my cell phone when I do these because
Yeah.
I don't trust my laptop connection whatsoever.
Usually
about that.
my connection's okay, but so any speculation on what's going to be happening the rest of the season? I don't know if you guys have already seen the next episode.
Nope.
Nope, not yet.
I have.
All right.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and the promo for the one after that. So but I'm not gonna say it.
Now, luckily, you're not like me, who I get very Tom Hollandy, and I'll accidentally drop spoilers. So, I mean,
I'm
yeah,
very
if
careful
you
about
can-
what I've been saying.
if you can keep it cool, then that's great. But
That's why every time you guys say Dwight and Sherry, I've just been keeping quiet. I'm like, I ain't gonna say nothing.
I have high hopes. I'm in love. We're in love with this season so far. The anthology type episodes, yeah, with everyone split up, it's kind of it kind of sucks just because you're dealing with just one set of characters and then you have to wait for another episode to get with another. But how they did it last season was good. And they said they were going to do it again, but I think hopefully they'll just do it for the first half. But for this first half, yeah, again, we're going to be getting with Dwight and Sherry. Love that group. Can't wait to find out what they're going to be dealing with. I know we're most anticipating to see Alicia to find out, when she hears about what's going on with Morgan and Strand, what is she going to be feeling? What is she wanting to do? Is she going to be more concerned with her new community now getting to Padre, or to try to help out Morgan and maybe try to talk to Strand if Strand's starting to get off the deep end by the latter parts of this season or the latter parts of the first half. But yeah, just more information on, it's going to be years until they can figure out how far out they can go. I mean, they know the areas that are safe, but when are they going to decide, okay, it's time to leave Texas? Let's just get out of here. Are we going to get to that point, or are they just going to try to survive where they are? So.
Yeah, I would think trying to make a priority of leaving the area would be a thing, but I think one thing that's holding Morgan back, other than the fact that he already screwed up once, is the people that Strand has that are his friends in that tower. So, unless he can get them to cut them loose. My thing is, by the end of this season, whether it be the mid-season or the end, is Morgan or Strand going to finally, will one of them not survive?
One question I've had for a
Not
while.
sure. Yeah.
I mean, I don't see after this that Morgan and Strand can really, put aside the differences and be like, let's be buddy-buddy again. I can't see it. So either someone dies or someone is exiled or decides to leave. Maybe they band together for some, common purpose. Then when they're done, I would say Strand would be like, I have no place with you. I will be on my own.
Sounds like Strand, yeah.
Then he shows up in the CRM later, and he's a big.
That's
guy,
exactly
top guy
what I
up
was
there.
gonna say. I was gonna say if nobody dies, like if Strand doesn't die, if he doesn't get too villainous and he has to be killed, if he loves that fancy life, that order, I could see him going to the CRM and becoming some type of authority figure in there. Now, he may not idealize with the sadistic part of CRM that we've seen so far, but I think he would love it in the CRM, to be honest.
I think
Absolutely.
I think he's very practical. And, if he's convinced of the practicality of, shooting a bunch of people at a college campus, he'd do it. I don't think he's that sentimental.
I have a hard time believing that Morgan would die between these two if they were to have like a head-to-head combat. I mean, we've known like this universe to kill off anybody at any given time, but just thinking about how I mean, granted they did that with Carl, but just hopefully that they learned their lesson not to do that with Morgan. I feel like more people would fall off if Morgan were to be killed.
Well, maybe they have to give him a raise because Lenny James is a fantastic actor, and I'm sure he's got other projects that he could be working on. So,
absolutely.
Unless
he would just be off doing something else for a while until they give him his pay raise.
Yeah, unless you give him a shit ton of money to stay, he might be like,
I have a hard time believing that they would kill him off. And I absolutely love that thought about Strand going to the CRM. So I actually want to see that happen.
All right. Well, Gimple and all the producers watch this every week.
I know, right?
So I'm sure they're gonna do that.
Well, I mean, maybe they should. They would get some great ideas. I'm just saying.
They would. But my whole thing is, I don't think killing Strand would do much because, like, their whole big thing is, like, we kill characters to, develop the other characters and push them in different directions. But who would really change from Strand's death? I mean, I don't think it would do anything for the character. So I don't know if killing him would be, a big thing. Like, I don't know that it would change anybody.
Right. Unless Howard decides, he's got to go avenge the guy who basically invaded his home, took over his life. I didn't realize that Howard was going to drink the Kool-Aid this deeply.
No, he's a very intriguing character, and I'm surprised he's like all in behind Strand right now. Like, basically, that was Howard's building, and now it's Strand's.
Yeah, and Strand came in and lied to him initially.
Yeah.
Tried to make himself out to be the good guy, and then he's like, my name is Victor Strand, and I'm going to take over. And, he just seems like to be totally on board. Like, there doesn't seem to be a hint of resentment. Devin Zane asked, when do you guys think we'll see Alicia? Said she's definitely in episode 8, maybe before then. I thought I read something about her being in 7. We'll see.
Yeah, the synopsis for episode 8 has her name, but you never know. She could come in episode 7, but I think episode 8 for sure.
Yeah, definitely episode 8.
So we've got a few still.
Freddie M says Strand and Jadis team up. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
Both their personalities together?
Yeah.
So, do we think that Howard is actually Strand's more than Lieutenant? I mean, they could be a couple.
Oh, I see.
I haven't gotten that vibe yet, but I'm not ruling out the possibility.
Yeah.
The way that he seems so loyal to him does kind of raise some questions now that you bring it up.
And Strand, I don't know how demonstrative towards someone he would be in front of others, because he doesn't like giving leverage. So he would probably act as if, Howard's a valuable servant, but that's all he is. And then behind closed doors, who knows? I mean, it could be, and that could be one of the reasons why Howard is so, loyal to Strand. But, again, all speculation. And,
I'm willing to
tell. Howard needs some development. I don't know his motivations.
I think that would make a great twist, though. I want to see that happen. Let's just leave it at that.
Almost says he drunk the whole jug of Kool-Aid. Didn't leave any for anybody else.
What flavor, though? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I like orange lava bursts, but that's just me. Anyways, so we are actually a little bit over time. So it is now time for some, how shall we say, shameless plugs for our own stuff and final impressions. So final impressions of the episode, final thoughts, and shameless plugs. So, Jazz, you start us off.
All right. Final thoughts on this episode. It was all right. I wasn't like super in love with it like I was the last episode. Super excited to see what next week brings us. And you can find me at here on Fandom Spotlight. I've got some things in the works that should be coming up in the next week or two. And Instagram, Jazzy Diva with 3 Z's. Check out Vancouver Master Chorale. We're getting ready to do some Christmas concert on the 11th and 12th of December that we're really working on hard for. And yeah, that's it. See you next week.
All right, Tomaj.
Yeah, so I'm loving this season. I really love this episode. I'm glad Sarah finally got the spotlight. I'm really excited for Alicia to get into the mix of the Morgan versus Strand thing. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, you guys can catch me on Big Bro and Little Sis Reacts. As I said earlier, we do comic book shows over on our Patreon. We're doing Battlestar Galactica. We're starting Star Trek Discovery next week. And yeah, we just do a whole bunch of mostly DC shows, Young Justice. We're finishing Supergirl, Batwoman, Legends of Tomorrow, Doom Patrol. So yeah, you can catch me over there.
All right, awesome. Jarrell?
Yeah, we're super excited for this season. Can't wait to see Alicia, of course. More with CRM, since CRM is kind of in their infancy. Fear's in about year 4, so it's very early on to see what CRM's up to. But super excited to see how this season goes. You can catch us over at Nocbro Nation on YouTube. We do a bunch of reactions and other videos just on theories and everything going on in the universe. We're going to be getting to more of doing some reactions on other zombie type series. Kingdom on Netflix, I heard, is a really good zombie series. There's some other ones out there. Can't wait for Black Summer to return, but super excited to do content for you guys, and check us out.
Awesome. And as you know, I am the governor. We're over here at Fandom Spotlight. My thoughts on this episode. I liked it a little bit more. I think it was the angle of bringing in Josiah. That actually did it for me. And so I really like this episode. I am excited to see. I do feel it's a little aggravating because it's not going to be until possibly episode 8 that we see Alicia. Possibly episode 12 that we see Skidmark. So it's get the band back together already. So
Absolutely.
As Jazz was saying earlier, it's just season 4, the back half of season 4 when, I was so kind as to relocate, Rick and his crew, and they had to scatter, and then they had to get back together. So, hopefully they will. Tarek Sediment says, can't wait to see more reactions from you for Black Summer. Jarrell. And, and people are definitely having opinions about this season. Tune in on Fandom Spotlight tomorrow, where we have Visa Redux. And they're going to be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Revamping the original live action, not the Michael Bay stuff. And they're calling it Better Off Shred, which is, I just love what Chris comes up with. So that'll be tomorrow night, and we have more stuff coming down the pike. Check out Toy Spotlight, check out our Patreon, all the stuff, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Governor and his crew out.